if you take a sample and you do something so unique to it, it makes it kind of different. Maybe makes it sound like it's not even a sample, or it just sounds like a unique sound. And somebody does the exact same thing.
At very least, it's idea theft, but is it intellectual property infringement? What's going down is the what should we call this one? The Yes Pain, Yes MEC podcast, aka the No Pain, No Gain podcast. It does feel like the MEC, except are we in the same configuration that we normally are in? It doesn't matter, but my OCD brain wants it to be that way. I don't think we are. Good morning.
Normally I'm at the bottom.
Okay, you are here from my view, so things might be okay. The world may survive another day after all. How's everyone feeling? Especially you, Dane. We haven't seen you in a while.
I'm doing good. I did have a health scare on Sunday that was a little weird, but everything's fine. I'm good. I'm feeling good. We got a lot of things planned here at Two Lost. I got a live session that I'm hosting on Monday that's open to all artists. So I guess that would be today for people that are listening to this podcast, the day that it comes out. But I think going forward, it might just be open to like Two Lost artists. We'll see. We'll see how the first one goes. So planning that. And also planning like a big contest. I'm going to hold back some of the details, but like trying to put together the biggest contest for, I don't know all the contests. So I can't say for like ever, but definitely the biggest contest I've been a part of in terms of prizes and people involved. So hopefully I'll be able to announce that soon so people can take part in it, because I think it's going to be really dope. So yeah, things are going good on my side. How Aaron's in the library. What's up with Aaron?
Yep. I read that libraries are being defunded all over America because they're underutilized. So I'm doing my part. And it's also saving me money because co-working spaces here are very expensive for no reason. And then you can't like find a quiet place to sit and work. So this is great. They give me a private room. I can rent them for up to 2 hours. Well, reserve it for up to 2 hours because I don't have to spend any money. And then if nobody comes behind me, I get it all day. So I've been enjoying it. But dang, that prize pack, you're saying it's the biggest one that you've been a part of as far as artist competition, and you've done some major ones. So that's actually like, I'm excited to see what you roll out.
Yeah, no, it's because I don't want to say anything because then if for some reason it doesn't happen and I sound like a buster. But definitely in terms of the prize and hopefully the people involved in terms of, their influence, their platform, celebrities. So yeah, we're trying to make some moves. As I always thought that contests are a great way, even if you don't win, it's a great way to pick up some new fans. I know that a lot of artists don't participate in contests, and I think a lot of that is just ego driven, because they don't want to make it seem like they're on the level of some other participants that are maybe a little earlier in their career. They don't want to loop them, like be associated with a contest and make look a little weird to them. But contests have been a way that put a lot of artists on, and it's a way that I got to know a lot of artists over the years hosting contests. So yeah, I encourage folks to participate in any and all contests. I compare it to like when I was younger, if there was like a basketball 3-on-3 contest or anything like that, I was excited. I was excited to find anything. We used to have Hoop It Up. I think Hoop It Up was a national thing, but like they used to have this little tournament called Hoop It Up. I used to look forward to that. Even when I was in college, like there used to be 3-on-3 tournaments and stuff like that. Man, I used to love it. So I don't know why, if you love music and you enjoy competition, like you would shy away from any of it. So,
what are you announcing? The official?
Hopefully within the night, maybe like the next month or so. We're still pulling all the pieces together. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. I'll definitely be announcing it on all my platforms. So So yeah.
Dame, I don't know if you saw the most recent episode, and it came out. I guess it came out a couple of days ago with Aaron and I about the alleged beat theft with Doja Cat's new single.
I didn't watch the episode. I think I just saw the thumbnail, and I know you guys were talking about it, but
I just want to get your take on this question because I took an informal poll on Twitter. Most people said no. The question was basically, and this is worst case scenario. This is assuming that the allegations are true about Doja Cat and the song and the beat that were produced for her. If two producers, well, actually, if one producer used a well-known sample in a beat they made, and another producer saw them doing that and said to themselves, you know what, I want to flip that sample too. Does that second producer owe the first producer anything?
hell no. That and they flip it the exact same way, or just
Well, let's say no one flipped it in any because in the Doja Cat situation, nothing was changed. No one changed the pitch, no one changed the tempo, no one chopped it, no one reversed it, no one filtered it. It was just the raw sample.
Hell no, because that first producer probably wasn't even the first producer. You know what I mean? Like, how do you track down like who really was the first person to sample a song? Right? Like,
Dame has spoken. It was funny too because I asked that question and like I had to block some people because people thought I was asking the question from a standpoint of being like a naive producer or something. I'm just trying to get a pulse on what people actually think. So I was getting responses like, man, you're all so fucking stupid asking these dumbass questions. I'm just like, okay, I don't need that energy. But I think the reaction that you just gave, I saw a couple hell no's come through in the replies. So I think that's pretty much how people feel for the most part. I mean, I don't have a big sample size, but it seemed like for the most part, people did feel that way.
if you take a sample and you do something so unique to it, it makes it kind of different, maybe makes it sound like it's not even a sample, or it just sounds like a unique sound, and somebody does the exact same thing. Maybe a case for that. I don't know, but yeah, nah, if you sampling stuff.
Yeah, see that would be my next question too, but that would be a question for a lawyer who's familiar with these kinds of cases. If ever a case like this has come up, you know, I'd like to think that I would have heard of that, but you never know. Maybe people sign NDAs, the case never makes it into the forums or the media, and we just never hear. But I do wonder that because, you know, and a lot of people are making the comparison like, well, if I make a sandwich with the same ingredients, like, yeah, I get what you're saying in a general sense, but sandwiches are not the same as music. So, and there are no IP laws governing sandwiches. So if the first producer flips a sample in a really unique way that's distinct, it's not obvious, you know, one part is reversed, the next part is pitched down, and they use the same kinds of aesthetics and tempo and all that, and then another producer does the exact same thing. I think at very least it's idea theft, but is it intellectual property infringement? And I don't have an answer to that. That's where we need Carl Folks or somebody like him.
I feel like the reception on the video, though, seemed to be decently educated producers commenting. There were a few like weird or people who were trying to make a point that had nothing to do with what we were talking about to almost justify their own theft. I saw a few of those, but I feel like most people were like, this doesn't make any sense what he's doing. So it made me feel better because when I was talking, I'm like, maybe I'm just uneducated, but I can't see this flowing in his direction. And everybody was like, yeah, it seems like he's either excessively ignorant or he's trolling and using it as a marketing ploy, which it kind of felt like to me. So I don't know. It's interesting. That video is getting a lot of traction. So if people haven't seen it, they should definitely tune into last week's episode.
You know what? I've been getting some very weird comments lately on all of my videos, and it's strange. It's a strange phenomenon where all the usernames look the same. They're old accounts on YouTube, but they're all a name, just like a general American sounding name, and then a series of numbers. And I'm just like, where's all this stuff coming from? I think it's just sock accounts that someone created years and years and years ago, and it's just something that they use to leave comments from an account that isn't tied with their main identity or whatever. But it is weird. I've been getting a lot more of those lately. I have a theory, but I don't really care enough to talk about that. I want to switch gears really quickly before we jump into the.
Can I go on my rant real quick?
Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to give the rant alert. This is important. Dame hasn't been on here for a while, and he hasn't been on here with a rant in mind. So I'm going to mute myself.
I was on a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now. And there was a little bit of a controversy when we were talking about like beat leases. There was somebody selling beat leases for $1,000. So we were just talking about pricing, right? So I would say that very rarely, I'm not going to say never, but very rarely do we talk about anything on this podcast like that's specific to like a person and like drama. It's more about the concept and the idea. And that's why we didn't even name this gentleman when we had the conversation, right? But I think it's annoying to me. There were a few things that came out of that were annoying. One, this gentleman figured out that it was about him. I invited him on the podcast, didn't want to talk. I don't know what it is about this generation that's not willing to have a dialogue, right? We have a podcast. We comment on things that people put publicly. We don't comment on anything privately. It's things that people put. That's what a podcast is, right? Like you talk about things, you give opinions about things that we see publicly. So anything you put out there to me is fair game for people to comment on it, whether it's this podcast or another podcast. If we then invite you on the podcast because you disagree with something we say and you're not willing to have a dialogue, but you want to post about it, that's weird to people like me and my generation, right? Like I mean, there's weirdos in my generation too, but it's like, have the dialogue. The second thing I would say is like, if you are going to take our words and put them on your own platform, make sure you use our exact words. Like people have a tendency these days to like omit a word or change a word to make their argument seem stronger. And you know what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. You want to manipulate words by taking out sometimes the most subtle thing, sometimes the smallest word taken out of what we say. If you omit it or change it, like it completely changes what we're saying, because I believe in that dialogue. We covered a lot of bases of why or how a beat lease could have been sold for $1,000. We covered everything from, I don't think we definitely, because the spectrum would be like, oh, it's fake to, you know, it's real and he's doing his thing, right? But I think we didn't even suggest that it.
No, I don't think it was fake.
We didn't even consider that as a possibility. But if I didn't know him, that very well could be a possibility, right? There are definitely people posting fake screenshots, you know, things like that to make fake things seem real. But we covered a lot of bases.
I've covered a fake screenshot. It was for some BeatStars bot where they were showing all these different, like, look at this sale, look at that sale. And I had producers' names on it, and I uncovered the source, and it was just random tweets that had nothing to do with that product. So people do that. You're right.
For sure. So long story short, I would just encourage young people to have a dialogue. If you feel like you've been presented in a negative light, or if you disagree with something, you know, I'm definitely not saying that I've been right 100% of the time on this podcast. My percentage is high though. I ain't gonna say that my percentage is high. I mean, because we all have experience in this. So, but if we do talk about something, and especially if it's about a particular person, and you find that out, and you're always willing to have the conversation, Payne, I'm sure, is not gonna not allow you on the podcast unless you're an asshole or you do something ridiculous. So I would just encourage young people to have the dialogue before you just kind of jump out the window and start talking about things on social media. And then the second piece is, like, if you quote people exactly how they said it, so that because a lot of people have their little audience. And of course, like, when you post on your page, I guess this is the third thing, like when artists post on their page, like, these are your fans, so of course they're gonna support what you say even if you're wrong, right? So that just hypes you up and probably cements you in your position even if it's a wrong position. So
not my fans.
But I guess that's assuming that, like, people are really trying to get to a right answer as opposed to, like, just trying to feed your ego when more people are trying to do the latter. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I know that wasn't as structured as I wanted to say it, but have the dialogue, people. Like, just be willing to have a conversation. That's a more mature thing to do. That's how you keep a relationship intact. I'm not saying we're not the end all be all, but, like, I come across a lot of things all the time, like in my job and working with job things, like opportunities, right? So it's like, why have a negative confrontation with anybody really that potentially can help you? Like, this is a cat that's cool. Like, I met him in person. Like, he's a cool cat. Like, but there's no reason to have, like, any type of tension, because I potentially could help him in a situation. So anyway, long story short, just have the dialogue, people.
I would just like to say, Homeboy posted a clip of me saying, if you can get it, get it. So I'm still confused why he's upset at me, because my whole point that I was standing on is that I think that people should stretch the limits of their business. They should see where their client base is. They should see who's willing to spend the money. So I thought it was dope that he found somebody who was willing to spend $1,000 on the lease. I said it probably wouldn't be the norm, but I think it's cool. And I'm like, if you can get it, and if that's where your business is lying, why not get it? That's literally the clip that he posted.
You got a lot of nerve, Aaron.
And a lot of people said, like, oh, they low-key hating, or he's like, yeah, people don't F with me. And I'm like, I personally thought it was dope, and I stated that. The entire clip is me big upping you. So I'm confused how anybody watched the clip and pragmatically said, oh yeah, she's definitely hating on him. And then to take it further, people in the comments were like, oh, dang, there was a couple people, oh, I actually watched that podcast. One dude was like, I didn't even realize they were talking about you. That's crazy. And he was like, it's actually a really dope podcast. And the dude was like, yeah, I F with Payne. I'm like, how am I catching strays at this point? It's like, they're like, Payne is cool.
Wait, I'm finally cool.
They're like, this isn't directed at Payne. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I have been the subject of a lot of hate and slander lately, and I'm sick of it. Like, even right now, I have my first ever little baby viral video. It's got 200K. It went up like 120K yesterday, which is insane.
Congrats.
And people, like, the men in the comments are lighting me the freak up. They are just like, they hate me. And it's helping the video go up. What'd you say?
What's the video talking about?
It's me and Brandon. Brandon is reading me this thing about, they did a test with some race dogs and a cheetah, and the cheetah never raced. And it's like, I don't know, he just was reading something. It was, that story that's gone viral before. He's reading it to me, but I had never heard it. I also was at the end of a 12-hour production day, and he didn't want to record. So he's like, if we record, we got to get whiskey. So we're 2 episodes in, and the whiskey hits right when he starts reading it to me. So I'm like hyped, and I'm like interrupting him. I didn't even want to post the clip, but Brandon edited it and was like, we need to post this. We post the clip and it's definitely going up because people are so upset at me for like the ad libs, as some people are calling them. But I don't care. Like, I'm not bothered. I'm self-aware enough to know, like, yeah, I definitely was interrupting him. I was annoyed by it. And even like after was like, my bad, yo, like I was just on one. But it wasn't like I was like hyped. I was excited about what he was telling me, whatever. And all these people are like, this dumb bitch needs to shut up. Black women in America don't know how to keep their mouth closed. She's so rude. It's like insane. It's like hundreds of men hating on me. So I'm just sending back laughing emojis. And I'm like, you're not wrong. I shouldn't have interrupted him. And almost everybody that I respond to says something nice and then follows me, which is why I'm like, people can't even really be mean. You know what I'm saying? I just think people need a hug. I'm not bothered by it because I'm secure. I also do this basically for a living now. This is now my 4th podcast that I do. I recognize my strengths and my weaknesses. I'm not Oprah. I'm Aaron, and I'm showing up as me. But these unmerited strays that I keep catching, homeboy posted, the whole clip he posted was of me. Tope. Yeah. Oh, I'm not supposed to say his name. Whatever. Dude, I don't have no beef with you. I think what you're doing is cool. I hope you're watching this episode, hoping that we say your name. I'm saying your name. I thought it was cool. Watch the clip back. I was never hating on you. And I'm only saying this because I'm tired of people trying to make it seem like I'm sneak dissing. If I'm a diss you, you're going to know it. I'm like that. I'm from the south side of Atlanta. I don't have to sneak. If I don't like it, I'm going to say it. Plenty of people know that about me. And also, we're a business podcast. We're breaking down the business. You are an outlier. This is a unique thing that you did. So, of course, we're going to examine it. But I'm going to get off of this because I wasn't even going to say nothing. But I went back and looked at the comments and I'm like, son is like going in on us. And I'm like, but you posted a clip of me being kind to you and saying that what you did was cool. Like, chill.
It was, so it's my fault. And it's also, it's also my tone. Like it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes there were some times that we record this at like 7 a.m. And I'm not very animated even naturally, but like when it's super early in the morning, because I watched it back and I was like, okay, my tone, I could definitely see, because I said
but
something.
Why not post a clip of you if he thinks we're hating? That's all I'm saying.
It's because Black women in America.
I was literally encouraging him, but you took my clip to talk about hating. That's where I have the issue. It's like, it's one thing if you said the MEC's hating on me, post a clip of Dame. I'm riding with Dame. I'm like, we weren't hating on you, but like, whatever. You posted an encouraging clip of me.
Nobody would, I don't even think I was not hating. Like, I am doubtful that's
what I'm saying. I don't even think any of us were hating, but you posted the opposite of hate.
I wasn't. I won $1,000 per link.
I'm doubtful. I'm highly doubtful and skeptical that could be a continued practice for anybody, right? But at the same time, I also said that producers should experiment with pricing. Right. That is exactly, if you watch the whole thing, we talked about, me being doubtful and skeptical that could be a continued practice. Because I don't think, you're going to sell a lot of beats for it. There's just no reason to. We talked about it, why in that episode. But, we also talked about the other side of like producers need to find their lane and their pricing strategy. And it doesn't have to be the same across the board. So, yeah, but anyway, we can move on, Payne.
Can we watch the viral clip, Aaron? I just want to, it's cool that, because you did get a ton of, Jesus Lord.
Because when Aaron said he's like a big producer or something like that.
No, I'm not talking about that clip. I'm talking about the viral clip that Aaron and Brandon.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Do you want me to pull it up on Instagram and share my
I already got it.
Let's watch it. And listen, guys, when I watch it back, every time I cringe. I'm aware that I'm cutting him off. That's what the issue is. But the way people are talking about me is wild.
An experiment was conducted to see if greyhounds could compete with the speed of a cheetah. when the cages opened, folks were shocked that the cheetah didn't move.
Fact.
They asked the race coordinator what happened and why the cheetah didn't move. His response.
Cheetahs ain't trained to run.
You know what I'm saying? But
It's a
listen,
race.
his response, sometimes trying to prove that you're the best is an insult to your self-worth. There's no need to lower yourself to other people's level to make them understand your skills, qualities, and contributions. It's better to save your energy for more worthy endeavors. A cheetah uses its speed to hunt, not to prove to dogs that it's faster and stronger. Listen, E. Listen, hey, write this down, y'all. Take notes right now. Listen.
You gotta retweet it when this come out so folks can see.
So I bookmarked this joint.
For sure.
It say, don't waste your time and energy proving your value to folks who simply don't possess the skill set to appreciate your value and worth. Move on. All right.
That's
it. They were mad at that.
I don't.
There are
Number one.
hundreds. Literally,
I know.
Hundreds of comments. Just go through them. Hundreds.
I am. I'm ready to shoot someone over this. But Aaron, number one, drunk Aaron. I love the dynamic.
I wasn't drunk yet.
You might have found your lane. You might need to be like the drink champs of the music business podcast. Like that's what y'all might need to be.
Yo, Uncle Nearest hit me up.
Okay, drinking Aaron.
Because I would totally have a different way to say what I just said 5 minutes ago if I was tipsy. Like it would have been.
I was saying, because if I was drunk, I would have just been like, yo, let's get off of here. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was like, I was excited enough, like feeling the liquid enough to be like locked in. You know what I'm saying? And I just thought it was fire. Like, I literally thought I knew where he was going with it. He went somewhere else with it. So I was just so hyped. And if you watch the rest of the episode, I'm hyped because at that moment I was going through something where I really needed to hear that. So we talked through that for the rest of the episode. And it's like, people were like, you need to fire her, get a new co-host. And it's like, I kept telling people, I'm not always like this. Literally look at all the other clips on my page. Like I listen, I'm just an exuberant person and I get excited in general. So you give me a little bit of alcohol on a tired day. I think it was like 10 o'clock at night. It was our second episode. We had started working at 8 o'clock that morning at a conference. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's just where I was. But I also think so many people are devoid of energy and emotion. And that's me. And I'm okay with how I am. And not only am I okay, I enjoy how I am.
Yeah. You get me drinking. I'll probably be on here telling producers and artists to quit. I'm telling them how bad their music is. Like that might be the move. That's
what I'm saying. I was like excited. It wasn't even like I was like, man, shut up. That's so stupid. Like, you know, I could see it was so many crazy comments. And I was just like, men hate women. Like it was so ridiculous, the comments that we were getting. And Brandon was like, yo, like, what is this? And I'm like, this is the hate that I feel like I feel regularly. And I don't focus on it because I think that there's so many great men and I have so many great men in my life. I'm not making that everybody, but it's like the weirdos definitely come out on the internet and they were going in. But it's weird. I got over 100 followers yesterday just from commenting on people and being like, LOL, yeah, you're right. I was excited. And them being like, oh, well, thanks for responding so graciously, or, oh, that's nice, or, oh, I get you, no worries. It's like, then why be mean in the first place if you're like that, you know?
It's the internet culture. I swear, I tweeted the other day, if you can't make good beats, but you want to get attention in the producer community, just be the best troll. And it's true. I especially feel it in the producer community where it's become a competition of who can troll content creators the best. Who can troll on, and not so much Instagram because people are cowards for the most part. Not on your post. I don't know if people link their actual identities to their Instagram profiles. I think a lot of them do, where they just feel like there's this anonymity factor where they can, you know, these people don't talk this way in real life. People don't just walk up to someone else's conversation. Bitch, why the fuck you keep interrupting? That's why you don't know shit. Like no one had. You know, the kind of things that I'll see on replies to tweets where someone will just be, man, Payne, shut up. Like I know you don't just tell people to shut up in regular life, but why are you doing it on the internet? It's because it's the internet, but it's the same energy. You still look just as rude. So
I don't think, again, I think it's a generation thing. And I know that a lot of these mean people are probably older too, but like, they don't see it that way. It
was definitely 30 and 40-year-old men saying that like, this dumb bitch should keep her mouth closed.
Well, 30-year-old men, I'm a 30-year-old man. We're fucked.
I'm all for jokes. Like, I love jokes. Like, I love Black Twitter, but like, I'm not for just like meanness with no like humor.
No, Black Twitter is creative. I'm not.
Yeah, Black Twitter as a person or a company would be extremely valuable, and there needs to be a way to compensate Black Twitter for promoting so many things that they've never got compensated for. Black Twitter is super valuable, and it's hilarious. Like, some of these people need to actually have jobs like writing on television shows, but they probably are people that can't be consistent enough or have the discipline enough to channel their creativity in a way that could get them paid. But it's hilarious. Like, Black Twitter is the only reason that I am on Twitter, because they provide so many jokes. But yeah, I don't get the meanness. Like, just the straight mean. That's weird. Like, you got issues that you need to resolve if you're just on Instagram or any social media network, just being mean to people. Like, that's crazy.
I think for me, that's the thing. I'm like, if anything bothers me, that I'm just not a mean person. So I don't get that. I'm a very direct person. So sometimes people feel like my directness is mean. As you know, Dane, you've recently experienced how direct I can get when I'm over my limits. Not me directed at you, but you watched a video recently. But if you push me past my limit, I'm just going to be real direct with you. And that, especially coming from a woman, men hate. But I'm not a mean person, so I don't understand being annoyed with something on the internet and then spending more time on it. If it annoys me, I'm not going to now sit and engage with it and be like upset about it. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's just me, and I'm not blaming people. I just have a different type of personality. I'm like, there's enough in my life that frustrates me that I don't need to now bring in random people that I've never met to add frustration to my life. But again, several people I commented, they laughed it off like as if they had said something casual and then followed me, I guess, to apologize. But I had one dude DM me like a big paragraph and was like, thank you so much for being so nice. The way you responded to me just messing with you was really great. Now you have a fan and a friend for life. He said some other things and then he said, follow me back.
I'm not your friend and I'm not following you back. That's like
I'm not even responding to your DM. You're weird. You were mean to me. I laughed because I literally can laugh at myself. I'm aware that I was goofing off. Brandon is also aware of who I am and how I am and how much I respect him. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is why he edited and wanted to put it up. But y'all came for me. I responded like an adult. And now you're talking about you have a fan and a friend for life. Follow me back. How old are you? That's wild. It's so weird. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
It happens all the time. You guys know the cat on Twitter that I can't say I was cool with him.
Yo, and he rebranded, then followed all of us, then tweeted me, follow back. No, you're weird. And you showed yourself weird with my people in a thread that I'm connected to. You are volatile. What is wrong with you?
That's another thing that I've noticed too. Like, people will reach out to me and bash somebody that I'm clearly cool with. Like, someone came out and was like, man, so you're lucky that DJ Payne One gives you beats because you can't rap for shit. I was like, keep my name out this conversation. And then I said some other like mean stuff back. But hey, I said what I said. If he sees me and he wants to call me on it.
Reset that. So somebody had reached out to the rapper that you work with.
It was a public tweet. Someone publicly tweeted both of us and and complimented me while insulting him. So it's like if someone reaches out to Aaron and be like, I love you on your podcast, Payne One is holding you back. Aaron's not going to say thank you for the compliment. Aaron's going to say fuck out of here, or she's going to ignore it. If I've been working with Soul for years. We've put out so many bodies of work before we even started working together, he was one of my favorite artists. So for you to tweet me, soul is trash, but you're cool, somehow in his mind is a compliment to me. And so when I responded negatively, he went on this whole rant. Fuck Pain One. I thought he was cool, but these producers are assholes. Don't fuck with you. Like, bitch, you were an asshole. And that's the other part of the culture that, one part of internet culture is trolling, getting confronted and being like, oh, it was just a joke. The other part is being an asshole, getting that energy back, or getting a very human response back. Because anywhere you go, if you walk up to someone and insult one of their close friends, if they're a loyal, decent, moral person, they're not going to enjoy that. And so you're going to get a backlash instantly. So he got a backlash on Twitter and suddenly his world was rocked. And oh my God, everything is turned upside down. I can't believe this. That's the other part where people give out negativity. And then if they get any of that energy back, suddenly they're a victim. And so I don't see that changing anytime soon. Yeah.
It's
You're
like
right.
what you said. People aren't going to walk up and say this stuff to you in person. In fact, I feel like if I were to see any of these people, they'd be like, dope, love your content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because people don't like, and I'm not saying it's because Aaron's going to like that any of us are going to have a violent response. It's just that people don't want, there's some difference between an in-person confrontation and an internet confrontation.
But if you were to see me in person and I knew that you had said something mean, I wouldn't just immediately laugh it off. I'd be like, you were not nice. Why were you mean to me? What is it inside of you that makes you want to say things like that? You don't know me. This is just a clip. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am a confrontational person in a way that not like I'm like, oh, let's fight. I'm like, let's address this. I just kind of want to know what's going on in your head.
That's an accountability.
A lot of people don't like that. So I'm with you. It's weird. It's weird behavior because I feel like I think the same thing, almost even more cautiously on the internet, because you have no context for me. You may take something that I say way left. Like I have too many tweets in my drafts because I feel like people just more than half the time I'm joking about stuff. There's truth there for sure, but it's like satirical or it's like heavily weighted in like, I'm okay with this, but I'm going to say it. But people don't know that. So I'm like, let me just back off. When you meet me in person, there's more context for it. And I just think that people, as Kanye calls it, alternative energy. People want some sort of exchange. If they can't get attention or they need attention, they just give you something negative because they just need, it's like the cycle of abuse. You're looking for some sort of attention, even if it's negative attention, and I'm not giving it to you. I'm going to either say something nice or I'm going to ignore you. But also, thank you for the extra engagement on the post because clearly people need to hear this and be encouraged by it. The thing is, the only reason that I was like even harping on men is because so many women got on and they were like, oh, this is encouraging or this is funny or like, I love her energy or like, I was excited too, and I have to believe the overwhelming majority of people either enjoyed my reaction or weren't bothered by it because again, it's at like 200 and something thousand on Instagram. It's like 150,000 on TikTok. Yesterday alone on my personal Facebook, it was shared 66 times. And that video is from like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's like, apparently it hit at the right time, but I don't know. It's just weird. I think that people need a hug, but it's like, why are y'all so bothered that somebody is different than you? Like, I'm not you. You would do it differently. I'm not you.
It's the culture. People who aren't, you can either participate in something by creating or tearing down. And that's what, there is a third option.
Right. People aren't creating. So they just want to, they don't have the capacity or the understanding or the desire or whatever to build something. So they're like, let's just, you're so right about that.
And I think music, social media culture is bad, but I don't know if you've ever watched YouTube Shorts or Facebook. What are they called on Facebook? Reels, I guess. Anything pertaining to fitness. I get recommended. It'll be like, try this 30-minute bicep workout, and you read the comments, bitch, you don't have biceps. What is it? Look at this guy's deflated balloon arms. I'm not taking advice from you. Like, what do you eat for breakfast? Soy and bitch juice? Like, it's just, that's all it is. And I would say it's the majority of the comments now. And it's, I guess that's a competitive space. That's a very male space. So everyone just wants to measure their dicks in the comment section. I don't know, but I think we could say the same thing about music. I hope music never gets to the point of the fitness influencer culture, but we're probably not too far off. Speaking of videos and taking things out of context, I know initially we wanted to discuss Russ's video. Is actually old. It's from a year ago. But initially when Russ hit the scene, obviously Russ is a huge inspiration to all types of folks, not just people who make music, but I think especially music makers, because of the sort of just grit and brute force methodology that he used to create this amazing brand. And he communicates with fans quite a bit, but he also gives advice to people and who want to do the same thing as him. And one of the bits of advice that he gave that was viral, and I think a lot of people took and ran with, was his put a song out a week advice. Russ put a song out a week, and you hear a lot of people saying, well, just put a song out a week like Russ, because they take what he says in that clip, run with it. And then Russ I didn't realize he did this. He's adding more context and kind of amending what he said, which I think is dope of him to do. He's also eating during this video.
A lot of up and coming artists, they hit me and they say, hey, I've tried the song a week thing and it's not working, not getting results. So I wanted to touch on that. First of all, this obviously just should go without saying, but the music has to be good, right? Second of all, it has to be versatile. The reason why my song a week approach worked for me is because 1 week it would be Losing Control, and then 1 week it would be Do It Myself, right? If it was just Losing Control type of songs every week, it would get boring. It'd be mundane. It'd get monotonous. The fact that you were getting a freestyle 1 week, even now when I still do a song a week, you get a freestyle, then you get an R&B song, then you get some turned up shit, then you get some, introspective, nobody knows shit or whatever it is. Like, it's got to be different. You can't come every week with fucking the same shit. It's not going to work. It's going to get played out. So if you are only making one kind of song, one kind of style, song of the week is not going to work for you.
I have misophonia, but also I think, it was a short video. There's a lot more that he probably has said. And we've talked extensively about this notion that if you just put music out, you deserve fans. Obviously, Russ did not do that. Russ did the community building. I mean, even now I was talking to someone who pre-ordered his vinyl, which he's selling at cost. I'm like, this man is crazy. It's very much fan centric.
That's genius.
Yeah, and he's doing these immersive fan experiences and these listening parties. It's obviously Russ did it the right way. He started unsigned, got signed, got a whole bunch more money. Now he's unsigned, and now he's using those financial resources to give back, to really solidify his fans and the community that he's created. It's amazing to see. Now
it's not giving back. You're gonna make more money doing stuff like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're giving value, I should say. You're giving value to the fans, and you are you're the kind of outreach he's doing. I haven't seen other artists at his scale do. I'm not saying they haven't done similar things.
So in terms of the clip that you played, I would kind of disagree with a part of what he said. I would agree with the fact that the music has to be good. That should, like he said, that should go without saying. The reason I don't think a song a week works anymore is not because artists aren't like changing up the styles of songs. It's just because there's so much music being released these days, and what he did is not different anymore. You know, there are a lot of artists that have come behind him to try to do the song a week. It's not as interesting of a story, and you're competing with a ridiculous amount more content than you were, because he was doing a song a week in like, what was that, 2017?
2012, 2013, 2014.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was that early, but it was early. It was like, you know.
It was because I booked him for like a show in 2014. And that's right when he started like getting label interest, and he was like traveling overseas to perform. But like, it was like 2013, 2014, because it was when I was working in rock music. I booked him on a show.
Because that around that time is around the time that we had reached out to him to try to sign him to Funk Volume, and I don't think
I think he did it for like 3 or 4 years though. Like I think he went on a really long run of dropping like
a song a week for 3 or 4 years. Well, then I wasn't familiar with. Maybe he was. I mean, I guess it's besides the point. The point is still, it's like that. Sometimes things don't work anymore because that's just what worked back then. Like you have to be creative and new. You can't just copy and paste a strategy that worked a couple of years ago, because a lot of things change about the environment, right? The algorithms change, attention spans change, like so many things change these days. So I would agree with the fact that the music has to be good. I think a good cadence, and again, there's no like set in stone, like you have to do this many songs per week or month or whatever. I think that, you know, but a good cadence these days is a song every 3 or 4 weeks. And then if a song like starts going, then maybe you double down and figure out how to continue to, you know, push that song more, put more fuel on the fire. Like Anis, we work with Anis here at Too Lost, and he definitely doesn't do a song a week. Like he knows how to pre-promote songs for a very long time before they even drop, right? Like he'll promote a song for months before it's even out. And then obviously once it's out, you know, he goes even harder putting more videos out, you know, so you might get a song every 3 or 4 months, you know, maybe longer, because he's just milking it and it's working. So you kind of have to be flexible and adjust your playbook depending on the reaction to certain songs that you put out. So, but I think you can be just a rapper. I mean, at the time, I think you could have been just a rapper making rap songs. I'm not saying that the song sounds the same every single week, but you don't have to be like singing on one, playing the drums on one. Like, you don't, I feel like if you were a dope rapper and you put out a song a week and the songs were dope, you might not have the same reaction as Russ got, because there's other variables that play into his success that don't apply to every artist. Your image, thing, like so many different variables. But I think that could have worked. I think a song a week could have worked if you were a rapper and you put out dope shit every week. I don't
think that it doesn't not work though, because I think if you're treating songs like content, and you know, I'd like, you know, going back to that British guy who was hating on the Russ statement, same thing. I think it is like an algorithm. Like Caleb Mitchell, you know, the artist that I work with my label, he dropped every 2 weeks. So I'm with you on. It may be wasted effort to do it every week, but it could work. But he dropped every 2 weeks for like 4 months. And then we dropped it to 3 weeks. And then he hasn't dropped anything in a month. And we're going to go back to the same every 2 to 3 weeks. And we went up like 150,000 monthly listeners over the span of that 3 months. So I think it can help for sure. He already had a fan base. I do know another artist, St. James, had a very maybe 20,000 monthly listeners. He dropped a song every 2 weeks for like 4 months, same thing. He went up like 200,000 monthly listeners, and I watched it happen. So I do think that if you're looking at it the same way that you look at content in an attention economy, and all you're doing is spiking the algorithm to get used to your drops, I don't think that it's harmful, but I do agree with you that it is not going to net the same result as Russ, but I don't think it's necessarily harmful. I think anybody discussing the validity of the methodology, if you disagree with it, you're probably disagreeing because you're unwilling to put the work in and be that consistent. So that's why for me, I don't want to give anybody else extra fuel to be like, yeah. The No Pain, No Gain MEC folks, they said it doesn't work. I'm like, try it. If you can, because if anything, it helps you get your reps in. It helps you get better at uploading and releasing. It helps you get on a schedule. It helps you make sure that your album artwork is done. So I think even just for the practice of honing your skill and being intentional, and like Russ said, you don't have to drop a song a week, meaning you're recording and dropping every week. Batch record, get your artwork, get it mixed, and then go on a run. I think every artist should have a place in their career where they go on a run, because it exemplifies how dedicated you are to your artistry. And I think most artists can drop 2 or 3 songs monthly, and then they'd be like, man, nobody's really rocking with me. I dropped so much music. And it's like, how much did you drop last year? Well, I dropped 5 songs. I dropped 3 months in a row and nobody paid attention. Then I dropped 2 at the end of the year because I said F it and I believe in myself. But now I haven't dropped anything in 6 months. I consistently hear people complain about how people aren't rocking with them, but they aren't actually giving the output. You know what I'm saying? Like, that clip that went viral just now is from the podcast that we recorded in February in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Right now it's August, and somebody actually commented, this has been out for a while. She's just recycling content. And I said, you're right. Thank you for paying attention to my podcast. Like, we've already put that clip came out 2 weeks ago, but we've also posted clips from that same episode multiple times. So it's like, yeah, like you got to put your reps in if you want, we as the MEC, I was here for 110 episodes with you. I came at the 110th episode. So I was here with 90 episodes with you guys. You know what I'm saying? With me and Brandon, we're like 18 episodes in. With the Winner's Circle podcast, I'm like 10 episodes into recording. I feel like you can't really say anything until you've done 100 of something. When you've done 100 of something, then you can now start to say, oh, well, this didn't work, that didn't work. But until you're consistent at least 100 of something, I think you're playing yourself.
I feel like what Russ was saying just about releasing music is kind of the least anyone could be doing, honestly, because the other stuff is way harder. If Russ says release more music, or if anyone, like, let's take Russ out of the equation. If anyone says just release more content, it's good practice. It's because this has been my philosophy and it helped me. And people are resisting that. It's like, you just must not like creating that much. There's something going on that's blocking your creativity. You can come up with any excuse. I'm not inspired. I'm not a machine, blah, 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 whatever. I'm not getting into that conversation with you. But the other stuff, the stuff that Russ isn't putting in this clip because it's intangible. It's hard to explain. It's dependent on the person. It's just the overall community building strategy, overall content building strategy, how you're telling your story. Obviously, no one could put out a video that explains to a person how to tell their story because no one knows their story. They haven't told it yet. What is frustrating for me is I put out content like this. Russ puts out, I'm not comparing myself to Russ. I'm aware that I'm not as successful as him. What I'm comparing is the philosophies. When Russ puts out content that says, I made a song a week, try that. And people are like, you just got to make a song a week. It's not working for me. So it's bullshit. The industry's dead. It's like, hold on. You're really misinterpreting what he's putting out. And there are all these blanks, people give out information. People are like, why is this information so vague? It's like, because I'm not in the room with you. I haven't known you for 10 years. You're not going to get specific tailor-made advice from a 60-second TikTok video. And people expect that. So like for me, I put out a video clearly explaining IP law and royalties and why registering unpublished beats that you're selling to rappers anyway are pointless to register with a PRO. And people would take that information and be like, oh, so don't sign up for ASCAP. Got it. Like, I didn't say that. Or they'll say Pain doesn't want us getting any royalties. That's not what I said. I literally walked you through the steps of registering a song with PROs, songs. So a lot of people can jump on a Russ clip or, one of my podcast episodes and say, we're giving bad advice. But is it our fault that people take what we say and pervert it and then fill in all these gaps with their own bad ideas? Because people will fill in gaps. If you say, make a song a week, people will fill in that gap and say, all right, it doesn't even matter if the song's good. Just make a song a week. Or it doesn't even matter how I release that song. Make a song a week. I'm not even addressing release radar or pre-order links or that kind of thing. And it's like, you're just filling those blanks in because you have this information that you already believe in your head and you're just looking for confirmation. You don't actually want advice from Russ. You don't actually want advice from any of us. You just want us to give you a pat on the back and say, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Because if we were to challenge what you were doing, that would mean you would have to change something and do more. I personally don't think that's anyone's fault. Information travels from an experienced person to an inexperienced person. And like, I think as a content creator, it's my duty to give the best information as possible, but it's never going to be 100% because I don't know who the audience is. If you're a grown adult and you're listening to content from people, you can't just if there's a gap, ask a question or do some research. Don't just fill it in with whatever the hell, is floating around in your mind, because that's not going to be from a place of experience or expertise. So I don't feel like that's my fault or Russ's fault for that.
We actually had Katori Walker was on our podcast.
Yeah, he said the same thing.
Not that long ago. And he pretty much said that he did the Rush strategy, or maybe is still doing it. And, he doesn't have as wide a range of music as a Russ does, but I can't remember the stats. I think his plan was he wants to get to 1 million monthly listeners. And I think he went from something like 200,000 to maybe like 700,000 or 800,000. Was it? It was something like that. So
it was like 850,000 when he came on the show.
Yeah. So, and he started when he started the Rush strategy, the song a week. So it still worked. I mean, it really just comes down to what we always say is consistency. Like, consistency is it's part of the formula, right? Just being consistent, and you have to find the cadence that works for you. The wide range of songs, I just think plays more into like Russ's overall brand, because, he does market himself as somebody that can hold a note and rap with the best of them, so he has to kind of show that range in his weekly releases or however often he decides to release music. And I think it's dope that he has like his main albums that you're probably going to get more singing on, more melodies. And then he has like his Chomp, right? His Chomp series, where he collabs with some of the, the most talented and skilled MCs that we have today. So he's proving that he can keep up with those guys as well. Women, I don't know if he has women on those as well, but he's proven that he can keep up with those artists as well on his Chomp series. So I think what he does is dope. But you really have to understand kind of your specific story, talent, skills, and how you want to chart your path. But at the end of the day, whether it's a song a week, a song a month, like, being consistent has to be a part of your formula. And that's really all that is. It was just Russ being consistent, but his consistency was in the form of a song a week.
Literally. And I wish people understood that. It's like, If you're going to say, I'm not doing that because of X, Y, and Z, cool, what are you doing? Either your music has to be consistent, your social content has to be consistent, or your community building has to be consistent. You're going to touch all three of those, but you either have to be outside saying, I'm throwing a monthly meetup in my city, or I'm dropping a song a week, or I'm putting up social media clips 2 or 3 times a day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you want to win, you've got to be doing one of those three, really. And again, you're going to touch all three of them. You're going to be in the real world. You're going to have to put out music. You're going to have to post on socials. But like for me, I didn't really particularly enjoy posting on socials, but I was building community in the real world. Then that started bleeding over to where people were like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? You know, so my output on the internet got higher because now I'm doing podcasts, I'm teaching classes. So then now my content output becomes higher. So now I'm doing all three. I'm still not posting every day, but I'm still throwing events regularly. But now I'm teaching regularly now. So, you know, it's like you're going to have to do something. Like, you're going to have to do something. So everything you're coming up from with an excuse for is just wasted energy. Just go do something and keep doing it.
And get better over time.
That's the biggest thing. Oh my God. I've been planning on making a video addressing this because I'll put out a video on YouTube and then someone will leave a comment that's, you know, paragraphs long explaining all their trepidations about getting involved in the music business. I'm like, look, I'm not reading that shit, but in the time that it took you to write that, you could have actually done something productive. This was not productive. It wasn't. It's just you insulating yourself from doing work. It's always, you know, well, what I think about, well, what if this happens? And what about this? It's like, no one gives a fuck enough to do any of that to you. You know, what if my beat gets stolen? What if this happens? What if an industry guy overhears my beat in Studio B? And I'm like, shut the fuck up and make beats. None of this has happened. And if it happens, what? You're going to quit? How much do you actually love music? So that was hopefully motivating. I mean, just go out and do stuff. Bad things happen, and it's not the end of the world. The good outweighs the bad. You'll figure it out. That's why we put this information out there. That's why I provide, along with the two of you, cautionary tales about how to anticipate and avoid some of the more major pitfalls that we've experienced. But look at all of us. We're still here. So, and we've gone through some shit. So it's fine. You got this. That being said, thank you guys for the reunion episode. And we'll be back next Monday. I don't know if I'm going to have the privilege of both of your attendance, but we'll see. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, no, I'm down when I can. I just got to I don't know if Wednesdays or actually Thursdays is still cool. But yeah, just keep me posted on when you guys plan to shoot, and then I'll get on when I can.
It's a little erratic of a schedule, but appreciate you both. Shout out to everyone listening. Thank you.